Have you ever missed a version of your life that you can't fully explain? Not a person, not a place, not even a specific moment, just a feeling. A feeling you had years ago, when life somehow felt closer, when mornings felt lighter, when time moved slower, when silence didn't feel empty, when a simple day could still feel like enough. If you feel like you are just existing on autopilot, tired of an emptiness that success or screens cannot seem to fill, stay with me for the next few minutes. We need to talk about what the modern world has secretly stolen from you. And maybe you tell yourself that you miss the past. You miss being younger. You miss having less responsibility. You miss the people who were there. You miss the places you used to know. But what if that is not entirely true? What if you don't really miss the past as much as you miss the person you were before life became so heavy, before your mind became a crowded and noisy space, before your days became an endless list of pending tasks, before your phone became the first thing you touched and the last thing you saw, before every quiet moment had to be filled with something. A video, a message, a task, a worry, a plan. Maybe you don't miss the old days. Maybe you miss feeling alive inside them. Because there was a time when you didn't need much. Walking peacefully, a song in your room, a conversation that lasted too long, a weekend with no real plan, a window open, a late afternoon light, a place that didn't need to be photographed to feel meaningful. You were not trying to optimize everything. You were not trying to prove your value every day. You were not measuring your life against everyone else's. You were just there, present, unaware of how rare that would become. And then slowly, without one dramatic moment, something changed. Life did not collapse. You did not disappear all at once. You simply became busier, more reachable, more responsible, more tired, more useful, more distracted. And somewhere inside all of that, the feeling of being alive started becoming harder to find. At first, growing up felt like progress. You wanted independence, you wanted money, you wanted your own space, you wanted people to take you seriously, you wanted to become someone. And in many ways, you did. You learned how to work, how to survive, how to respond, how to perform, how to keep going, even when your mind was asking for rest. You became good at handling life, but somewhere along the way, life stopped feeling like something you were living and started feeling like something you were managing. Managing bills, managing messages, managing work, managing expectations, managing your body, your image, your future, your emotions, your anxiety, your time, your relationships, your responsibilities. And nobody tells you how exhausting it is to constantly maintain a life you barely have the energy to feed. From the outside, you may look fine. You wake up, you work, you answer people, you make decisions, you pay for things, you keep moving. But inside, there's a quiet distance, like you're watching your own life from behind a glass wall. You're there, but not fully there. You laugh. But part of you is somewhere else. You rest. But your nervous system stays alert. You achieve something, but the satisfaction disappears quickly. You buy something new, but the emptiness returns. You scroll for comfort, but somehow feel worse. And the strange part is, nothing is obviously wrong. That is what makes it so confusing. Because when life looks normal, you start blaming yourself for feeling empty. You think, maybe I'm ungrateful. Maybe I'm lazy. Maybe everyone feels this way, and I'm just not strong enough. But maybe the problem is not that you are weak. Maybe the problem is that modern life has slowly trained you to live disconnected from yourself. Always available, always consuming, always comparing, always preparing for the next thing, always becoming, never arriving, never breathing, never simply being. And when a person spends years living that way, the soul does not scream at first. It whispers. It becomes tired. It becomes numb. It starts asking quiet questions. In the middle of ordinary days, is this really my life? Why do I feel so far away from myself? Why do I have so much and still feel like something is missing? The past feels beautiful. Not because it was perfect. It wasn't. There were problems then too. There was uncertainty. There was pain. There were things you didn't understand. But maybe the past feels softer because you were more present inside it. You could feel small things. You could enjoy simple moments without needing them to become productive. You could sit with boredom without running away from it. You could wait without reaching for a screen. You could exist without constantly measuring yourself. That is what many people are really grieving. Not a decade, not an age, not a place. Presence. The ability to feel your own life while it's happening. And this is one of the quiet tragedies of modern adulthood. People are surrounded by more comfort than ever, but they feel less peace. They have more entertainment, but less joy. More connection, but less intimacy. More information, but less clarity. More options, but less direction. More noise, but less inner life. And because everyone else seems to be moving fast, you start believing that speed is normal. You think rest is falling behind. You think silence is wasted time. You think doing nothing means you are failing. You think being tired means you need more discipline. But your exhaustion may not be a discipline problem. It may be a disconnection problem, a nervous system problem, a life rhythm problem, a soul problem. Maybe you're not tired because you did too little. Maybe you are tired because you have been caring too much for too long without ever putting it down. Too many expectations, too many comparisons, too many invisible pressures, too many unfinished thoughts, too many versions of yourself you're trying to become at the same time. And when you carry that much, even beautiful things begin to feel distant. A sunset becomes background. A meal becomes content. A conversation becomes interruption. A free evening becomes a chance to catch up. A quiet morning becomes another space to fill. And slowly, life stops touching you. Not because life lost its beauty, but because your attention has been pulled too far away from it. That's why you may feel nostalgic. Not because the past was better, but because your attention was still yours. Your energy was still closer to you. Your mind had more space. Your days had more texture. You were not yet being pulled in 1,000 directions by a world that profits from your distraction. So how do you come back? How do you begin to feel alive again? When everything inside you feels muted, most people try to fix emptiness by adding more. More goals, more purchases, more plans, more stimulation, more productivity, more self-improvement, more noise. But sometimes the way back to yourself is not addition, it is subtraction. Less noise, less comparison, less urgency, less pretending, less chasing things you don't even truly want anymore. Because the life you miss may not be hidden in another achievement. It may not be waiting after the next promotion, the next apartment, the next relationship, the next version of your body, the next number in your bank account, the next perfect morning routine. Maybe the life you miss is buried underneath everything you added while trying to become enough. And this is where emotional health begins. Not with fixing yourself, but with listening to yourself again, quietly, honestly, without turning every feeling into a problem to solve. Ask yourself, what actually makes me feel present? What drains me, even when it looks successful? What am I doing only because I'm afraid to stop? What parts of my life feel like performance? What would I still choose if nobody was watching? These questions are not easy because they may reveal that some of the things you work so hard to build are also the things quietly exhausting you. A lifestyle, a routine, a relationship, a version of success, a version of yourself that once protected you, but now keeps you trapped. And letting go of that version can feel like grief. Because even when something is heavy, it can still feel familiar. But peace often begins when you stop confusing familiarity with safety. You do not need to abandon your whole life. You do not need to disappear. You do not need to become someone completely new. Sometimes, you only need to create small spaces where your real self can breathe again. A morning without your phone. A walk without headphones. A meal without a screen. A boundary you finally keep. A conversation you stop avoiding. A room with less clutter. A day with fewer demands. A moment where you do not perform. Explain. Produce. Or prove. Just exist. And at first, that silence may feel uncomfortable. Because when you finally stop running, you may feel everything you were avoiding. The sadness, the fatigue, the regret, the loneliness, the quiet fear that time has been passing while you were too busy to notice. But don't run from that. That feeling is not your enemy. It may be the first honest thing you have felt in a long time. It is your soul waking up from the anesthesia. Feeling alive again does not always look dramatic. It may not look like quitting everything, moving to another country. Sometimes it looks much quieter than that. It looks like realizing you do not have to answer every message immediately. You do not have to turn every hour into progress. You don't have to keep proving that you are worthy of rest. You don't have to chase a life that keeps making you feel absent from yourself. Feeling alive again may look like coming back to simple things. Sunlight on the floor, water in your hands, a real conversation, a hug, a clean room, a walk with no purpose, a night where you're not trying to escape your own mind, a morning where you wake up and do not immediately surrender your attention to the world. These things may seem small, but small things are where life returns, not all at once, not loudly, but slowly. The way light enters a room, the way your body softens when it finally feels safe, the way your mind becomes clearer when you stop feeding it constant noise, the way your heart remembers that peace was never laziness, it was never weakness, it was never falling behind. Peace is what allows you to actually inhabit your life. And maybe that is what you have been searching for. Not the past, not another achievement, not a perfect future, but the ability to feel here again, to look at your own life and not want to escape it, to sit in silence and not feel empty, to have less noise and more meaning, to have fewer distractions and more presence, to have enough space inside yourself, to notice that your life is still happening right now, not someday, not after everything is fixed, not when you become the ideal version of yourself, now. And maybe the younger version of you, the one you think you lost, is not gone. Maybe that part of you is still there, beneath the exhaustion, beneath the pressure, beneath the noise, waiting for you, not to become someone else, but to come home. So maybe you don't miss the past. Maybe you miss your own presence. Maybe you miss the version of you who could feel life before trying to control it. And maybe the way back is not to chase what's gone. Maybe the way back is to protect what is still here. Your attention, your energy, your peace, your ability to feel. Because the world will keep asking for more of you. More speed, more output, more reaction, more consumption, more performance. But you are allowed to choose something quieter. You are allowed to stop disappearing into noise. You are allowed to build a life that does not require you to abandon yourself. That is emotional wealth. Not having everything, but being present enough to feel what you already have. And if this video found you at the right time, maybe take one quiet moment today without a screen, without a task, without trying to improve yourself. Breathe slowly, feel the air fill your chest, and let go of the weight you have been carrying. Look around you right now and see what truly makes you feel good. The small things that sustain your days. The space that is yours. If you can hug someone you love and hold them for a moment. Feel the warmth, the texture, and the safety of that moment. Just notice your life happening with no rush, without needing to manage anything. It is still here. And so are you.